So guys, I think I can start with my presentation. I see people joining the session. Welcome to be here. Greetings from Amsterdam. I will be sort of on my own, and it will be an Ask Me Anything session. What I will do is I will share my story in about roughly 10 minutes. It's too short, but I'm going to try it anyway. And then just pop your questions in the Q&A. And in the Q&A, I will, after my session, we will go through there, and then I will try to answer some questions. Okay, let's just start, and I hope you will like it. So today I'm going to talk about innovation teams from values to value, and I think it's an extremely relevant topic. Especially now, because what you see is that a lot of companies that are further ahead in their digital transformation are doing much better than the ones who are not that far ahead. But paradoxically, you also see that companies are now freezing or killing their innovation and digital transformation teams. Hopefully, they will wake up one day and they will see that the only way forward is to build a cool innovation team that helps them navigate along the way. So quickly about me, when I ask my friends and colleagues to describe me, I think this is sort of the commonality. So I've had quite a long corporate career, but about 2 years ago, I felt it was time to start my own venture. So I quit and I started my company Rebella. In that role or in that construction, I had the assignment to be head of innovation for Vueling for the past 2 years. So as sort of like a freelance construction. And when I've built many teams, but today my talk is a little bit about the innovation team I built in Barcelona. My team consists of techies, so developers and techies, but also service designers to bring in the human side of innovation, and also some experienced managers who were able to bring in the angle of the business side. Everybody in my team was pretty T-shaped, and there were a lot of hidden talents. So, for instance, Maria-Angela was also, besides a service designer, also an architect. I had David, a developer, but in his spare time he was a bartender. And then Xavi, for instance, was running his own startup on the side. So when people ask, what do you do when you work in an innovation team, right? For me, it's all about this. It's looking at a situation, but then differently. You have to bring in new perspectives, because otherwise you cannot solve problems that have been around for a long time. Looking at things differently, actually the first thing we did about 2 years ago when we started off this innovation team, we reframed what we were doing. When you work in an airline, it is pretty much operationally focused. They talk a lot about planes, but actually if you ask me, it's all about people. So the first thing is reframing the whole industry, actually. And it was not only about talking about that, so we also needed to act upon that. The service designers in my team, I started off with 0, and at the end I had 5 in my team. They got really connected with our customers and with our colleagues to learn everything that was going on. So and then they created, coming back to the office, they created real transparency by putting all their findings in service blueprints, where you connect the customer journey to the operational journey. We also marked all the problems, and that also made us fall in love with problems and not solutions, which is for me very important, because if one solution is not working, you have to be able to drop it and to go to the next and try it with the next solution. So to find, after having all those problems identified, you need to start finding for solutions. One of the key things we did is we organized a lot of sessions where we brought people together. So not people from just one team, from all kind of different teams within Vueling, And sometimes even we brought in customers to think along with us on solutions. And once we had the best solutions on paper, obviously we needed to work on those, right? So what we did was we created prototypes, so concepts, and we were able to do that. Gemma was able to do that in just 1 or 2 days. And those concepts we tested already with colleagues during our pop-up innovation demos at the canteen. But we also tested in the middle of the night if that was needed, or we went to the airport to go directly to our customers and ask feedback very early on in the process. So for me, innovation, I've been talking a lot about the here and the now. So for me, innovation is not only about the here and the now and keeping your feet on the ground, but it's actually also a lot about having your head in the clouds. And the way we did that in the team, we connected the now with the future with the 3 horizons. So Horizon 1, I briefly explained how we do that. Horizon 2 and 3 is we created visions on how, for instance, how would the future airport experience would look like in 2025. And we made animations out of that to bring it to life so that people also could envision the future. And for the Horizon 3, we asked provoking questions. And that is also, I think, when you run an innovation team, part of a big part of what you need to do. You have to be able to pull the heads out of the sand and ask the questions that nobody else dares to ask. So for instance, and well, this is actually an interesting picture because currently it's not reality with the crisis, but this was going on, right? It got pretty crowded in the air. And you saw people searching for different kind of transport. So we asked ourselves, is this the way forward? And also the product or the service we deliver, it's not that comfortable. So is this something that people will continue to do? And I think this question becomes extremely relevant right now, where people are very much aware of the distance that you need to have. And so I'm looking forward to see how this evolves over time. And obviously also we looked at the future, right? So not only what happens with other kind of fuel, biofuel or electric planes, but also I think a strong competitor of us is the train, and especially for a company like Vueling, focused on Europe, there is a competition with trains. And also I think with the virtual world, and we see that right now. So when I started at Vueling 2 years ago, I advised them to invest in online conferencing. Unfortunately, they didn't, but how cool would it have been if they would have done that in these times? So this is also what an innovation team should do. And then it's not only all good what I want to talk about. I just want to touch upon, I think, one of the most difficult things as an innovation team in a corporate. It is not easy, right? Corporates are difficult, sometimes difficult organized, so it's difficult to find your ways. And also when you make things really transparent, not everybody is your friend. So we always were trying to create landing spots in the business, because I really wanted to prevent that my team, or that we as a team were the crazy ones outside, and that we were not bringing any value. But that was not always easy. And especially when you make things very transparent, people are a little bit scared about why you do that. And the reason why we did that is not because we want to say that everything was shitty, but to really find the root causes and solve them. Because I think that many times, by not deep diving into the real problems, the solutions are not found. And that's why some problems are around for such a long time. Also always said to my team is whenever we get into a fight or whenever we get a punch in the face, never punch back. So always always offer help, always try to collaborate, because I am a strong believer that you can always find a win-win. This was hard for the team members, because sometimes it's just it's not nice when you're in a violent environment. But we were in there together. And that is also one of the things we did is when you're in an innovation team, your pace is mostly a little bit faster than the rest of the organization. So you go slow, you push. If you go fast, you push. But it's also sometimes very necessary to slow down and to reflect on what you are doing. And in those times, we also did crazy stuff, right? It was not chill out time. It was also stepping out of our own comfort zones. So do cool stuff together. For me, it is always very important when I build a team to create a safe haven, because people need to, when they have a tough time, they need to feel that they are at a place where they can be themselves and where they are just respected the way they are. And that I'm a strong believer in the growth mindset. People with a growth mindset, they want to learn. And they want to bring out the best in others. So when I hire people in my team, I look at their growth, if they have a growth mindset or not. And yes, I have asked people to leave the team because they did not have this growth mindset. Not easy, but it was very effective to do that. So I want to close off my talk, and then I go to the questions. With the super chicken experiment, I don't know if you have, if you know it. I will share a QR code later on, so you can go to it. There has been an experiment with chicken where they wanted to see if they could create a team that was highly productive. So they took from a flock of chicken, they took the chicken with the highest productivity and they put them together. And to reflect, or to compare, they also had a group of chicken with normal production. And they started to breed these chicken and want to see after several generations what happened with these chicken. And if they were able to create a highly productive team. So the team with the normal production chicken, the average chicken, they were doing just fine. But the super chicken group, just 2 or 3 were alive. They killed each other, and the reason why they killed each other is they were so productive because of the cost at the cost of others. So when you create your team, always be aware of this super chicken, and they are not healthy for your team. So it's a very nice TED Talk. I can highly recommend it. This team, there were no super chicken in there anymore. In the beginning, maybe, but not anymore. And it was a super cool ride. A bunch of crazy people, and we did a lot of cool stuff. Remember, it's always about people. Organizations are people who are doing cool stuff together. So I want to close off with my talk and open up for questions.